All right, I want to give you the quick version of how to build a list, how to present the list of CUTCO, what we call the like list, and then how to drop down with the list. Now, by the way, this is an hour-long teaching conversation, and I'm going to try to condense it into the next 13 to 15 minutes. You guys cool with that? All right. So here's what I need you to write down in your notes: like lists. Okay. Like lists. Your job fundamentally on every single appointment that you ever do for the rest of your career is to make a like list. Now, notice I didn't call this a wish list. I like the term like list a lot better because there are a lot of things that I could wish for. There's also, hang on, let me put this way. There's things that I could wish for in life, but that kind of like takes energy to wish for them. Things that I like a ton of stuff, but I don't wish for a lot of things. So, Ms. Jones, this is just anything you could see yourself liking. And your job is to make a like list during every appointment. What do I mean by that? Whether it's somebody buying CUTCO for the first time and they buy a homemaker, your job is to make a like list with other accessories that they would also like. Homemaker is just one of those pieces of the like list. Whether you're dropping down homemaker galley starter sets pieces, your job is to make a like list of everything that they like. And you guys have watched Sell Some Pieces, so you understand that, we've got a structured like list format for you: 5 pieces, super shears and table knives, buy 3 of the 4th for free for special number 2, special number 2, or special number 3 is pick 2, get a gadget. Those are all versions of a like list. But you guys know that you could also technically drop down homemaker galley starter set, and instead of picking their 5 favorite pieces, you could pick as many favorite pieces as they like. You may remember the story I told you in training. I had a gal one time tell me that she said when I showed her the homemaker, there's no way anybody I could ever spend that much money on a homemaker set. That's way too much money. No problem, Mrs. Jones. My job is to show you all the options. We got to the part where it was the pick 5 special, but I just said, hey, what else do you like? And she made a list of stuff that she liked that costed more than the homemaker set, and she bought it. Why? Because it was exactly what she wanted, price to value, right? So you need to think of every presentation as a like list, and whether it's they're buying CUTCO for the first time, or if they have seen, or if they have owned CUTCO for the last 25 years, maybe they already own a homemaker or a galley or an ultimate set, whatever. Your job is to build a list of things that they like. So I'm gonna come from the perspective of like, how do you sell a like list to somebody specifically who maybe already owns a set of CUTCO or owns some pieces of CUTCO? How do I get this list big? And then also, how do I drop down once I get this list? So this is kind of going to be focused on like selling to CUTCO owners to a degree, but the same principle works regardless of what you're doing. So let's go ahead and take our CUTCO orders app, and I'm going to pull this up here. And what do you guys want to pretend? You want to say that the customer has a homemaker, galley, starter set? So we go with the galley, homemaker?
Homemaker.
Homemaker. Okay, your customer has a homemaker. Beautiful. What do you do if the customer has a homemaker set? Well, we know from training that when a customer owns a homemaker set, you're going to do, and when they own a set, you're going to do the same exact demo. You're still going to build rapport. You're still going to share your goals. Very important. You're still going to have them download the app. You're going to have them watch the product video because it reminds them on why they love CUTCO. And then if somebody already owns a homemaker, you're still going to go through the homemaker set pieces, but you're going to do it quick and poppy. And here's what you're doing. You're asking what they use their pieces for. Hey, Mrs. Jones, next one's a paring knife. Hey, what do you like to use this for? Okay, great. That's awesome. Hey, it's also really good for this, 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 and this. Isn't that sweet? Awesome. Cool. Let's move on to the next one. You love your paring knife? Yeah. Trimmer, Mrs. Jones, you love that trimmer? Yeah, it's pretty much everybody's favorite piece. You're gonna use, what do you use your trimmer for? Hey, that's really great what it's used for. Just so you know as well, you can use it for raw chicken and tomatoes. It's also really good on citrus. You ever cut that kind of stuff? Oh yeah, I never thought to use that on citrus before. I'm going to use that on citrus now. So even if somebody already owns a homemaker set, you're still going to walk them through the homemaker pieces because you're looking to add value to what they already have. Because sometimes customers don't even know what the spatula spreader is for. They bought it 25 years ago. in the homemaker set, and they've spent the last 25 years not knowing about the spatula spreader. And I've had that happen multiple times. And I finally told them what it was for, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" And they hold the spatula spreader with newfound reverence. That's one. Two, you're looking for missing pieces. Right? If they have a homemaker set and they're like, "I don't have that piece," and you're like, first of all, they should have texted you everything that they already own, so you should be able to see it kind of like right away. Also, you're looking to steal stories. If a customer owns a homemaker set and they've had it for the last 25 years, you want to be like, "Hey, Mr. Jones, what do you use this for? What do you use that for?" Because I'm mentally logging those away for my next customer when I do a demo and I say, "Hey, Aunt, hey, neighbor Susie, Karen down the road, she actually loves that chef knife for X, Y, and Z. She uses it all the time. She says she loves it for this." You should be a walking Yelp review. You should be a walking Amazon review. You should be a walking bank of stories, Sandy, because facts tell and stories sell. Don't just tell your customers about CUTCO, sell them on CUTCO. How do you sell them on CUTCO? Stories. Stories sell. All right. You get to the end, and Richard, I'm going to have you hold all comments to the end because we're recording this. So put it in the chat box for me. So what happens? They already have a homemaker set. You're going to get to the summary, and then you're going to go to the gifts and accessories. And as I taught you in training, you're going to say, "Hey, Mr. Jones, we're going to start by making not your wish list, but your what? Your like list." These aren't necessarily things you're going to get today, but as your rep, we'll be able to keep track of what you like for future reference. As we go through here, if CUTCO were for free, let me know what you'd add to your set. Of course, don't be afraid to put it down on the list, because the more you buy, the more you save. So something might end up coming for free anyway. So here's the way I used to say this. I used to have this presentation book, and anytime you do an in-home appointment, you'd still do the same thing. If you want to do a presentation book, you still do it with computer, whatever. What I used to say is, "Hey, Mr. Jones, what we're about to do is we're about to make your like list. I want you to write down anything you could see yourself using in the next 10 minutes, days, months, weeks, years, or decades." It's kind of funny because they're not going to be alive in 10 decades, but you get the idea. So it's just anything you could see yourself using. Another way I said this was, "Hey, Mr. Jones, if CUTCO were for free, or if CUTCO were raining from the sky tomorrow, handles down with sheaths on, of course, so that everybody was safe, what would you run out to your backyard or front yard and grab before all the neighbors could get to it? Like, what would be the pieces that you would go after?" And then you're going to ask two questions. You remember the two questions from training? Can you see yourself using that? And how many? And what I love about your presentation manual, the way it's structured now, is that each individual piece already has the mini sales pitch on it. So what I used to do every time is I used to pull it open to the ultimate set. Mrs. Jones has a homemaker, so I need to sell her on the ultimate pieces. And I'd say, "Hey, Mrs. Jones, first one that you see here in your slide, everything from the paring knife," because I think you guys can see this right here, everything from the paring knife on the left to the carving fork in the middle, that's your homemaker set. You already have, Mrs. Jones. Let me walk you through really quick the rest of those pieces. Let me tell you about the Hardy slicer, right? And then you tell them about the Hardy slicer. You'd say, "Yeah, this is your trimmer on steroids. It's really great for cooked frozen meats and really tough vegetables. You ever do tough vegetables or like, summer squash or things like that, Mrs. Jones? You do? Could you see yourself using another heavy duty knife? You can? Great. Write that down. All right, Ms. Jones, the next one is the 7-inch Santoku. 7-inch Santoku. This is Rachel Ray made this thing famous. Currently, it's the most popular knife in America. It's great for chopping, slicing, intricate cuts. It's kind of more of a point rock drop, and you can use it to chop up all sorts of other stuff. Can you see yourself having an extra chef knife? You can? Great. Let me put that down. And you want a 5 to 10, 15-second pitch on each piece. Can you see yourself using that? Yes. Great. Let me write that down. No. All right. And by the way, writing it down, I used to have to write it down in my notebook and go to my price list and write down all the prices. What I would be doing if I'm you is I'd be adding all of this stuff into the cart. All right, great, Ms. Jones. Let me put that on your list. So what did we already say here? The customer already put on their list a Hardy slicer. They already put on here a 7-inch Santoku. Great. And then vegetable knife, cleaver, petite carver, paring, all those, right? Now, by the way, if you get enough of these pieces on her list, she is a candidate for a what? Ultimate upgrade. So that's the way that's what you're thinking in your mind. If somebody already has a homemaker set, I'm going to sell her on all the other pieces in the ultimate set. Because if I can get her to say yes to most of those pieces, I just say, "Mrs. Jones, you're actually a perfect candidate for the ultimate set. If you buy those pieces, you're going to need a new block." Hang on, I can't spell. Ultimate block. Great. Right? Let's throw a few other things in here. Just let's say she liked the cleaver. Cleaver only because she's got a block. Let's say she likes the veggie knife. Vegetable knife. All right. What else did she need? If she's going from well, actually, we just go to the next one, the next slide, which is where we'll talk about table knives. But let's say she already has a cheese knife. Actually, no, she doesn't have the cheese knife, but she's getting it and she wants the other paring knife. All right. So she's getting this one, this one, this one, this one, skipping those three, cheese knife and a paring knife. She's going to have 3 empty blocks in her ultimate set block, or 3 empty holes. Whoop-de-doo. She can fill those in a little bit later. All right. Now we go down to the next one. Hey, Mrs. Jones, could you see yourself using some extra table knives? In fact, with the number of pieces you liked in the slide above, you're actually an ultimate candidate. Let me show you what it looked like to upgrade to an ultimate set. I can just quote that for you. And then it's common for people that had 6, 8, or 12. You already have 8 table knives. And here's the question that I like to ask talent. I'd say, hey, how many table knives could you see yourself using? 6, 8, 12, 17, 21, 35. And I always used to throw like weird prime numbers in there just as kind of a joke, like 35. And they're like 35 table knives. You'd be surprised, by the way. I had a rep one time sell 2 flatware chests to a customer because 12 place settings wasn't enough. She's like, oh, I want more than 12 stainless steel table knives. He's like, why don't you just buy 2? She's like, great, 2 flatware chests. So wasn't a bad order. Anyway, let's say if we're upgrading here from a homemaker to an ultimate set, we need table knives. So we need 4 more table knives. So we'll add 4 more table knives to the cart. All right. Let's go through the rest of the wish list. Let's just really quick say that she wants a K-bar for her husband. K-bar Explorer. Let's say she wants a fisherman solution for her son. And your objective, by the way, is to always build the list as big as you possibly can. Because, ladies and gentlemen, write this down in your notes. The harder you start, the higher you finish. Or excuse me, the higher you start, the higher you finish. The bigger wish list you build, the bigger your order is going to be by the time you drop down. If you drop down from 1,000 and the customer has to say no 2 or 3 times just instinctually, psychologically to get it out of the way, you might end up with a $200-300 order. You start with a $3,000 or $4,000 wish list. By the time they've said no 2 or 3 or 4 times, you're going to end up with an $800 to $1,000 order. See the difference there? So I'm always like, hey, Mrs. Jones, could you see yourself using the gardening tools? Do you ever garden? Oh, sometimes. Well, great, Mrs. Jones. Why don't we just put that on there? If that's part of, you'd like those if you had them. Yeah, I'd like them if I had them. Cool. Great. What else we got here? Flatware, cookware. I always try to get those on the list because it's another easy thing to drop when I'm cutting things off the wish list. So the way you want to think about this, Cooper, is when you build a big like list like this. I caught myself right there. See, not wish list, it's a like list. When you build a big like list, I like having sacrificial pieces on there that I know she likes, but I know she's not going to get them today. I know she's probably not temperature-wise, Connor, ready to throw down like $3,300 on a cookware set. But I still want to put that cookware set on there because it gives me a big drop when I go to drop it off when I'm dropping down. Okay. So let's slap the cookware on here just for fun. Oh, did you guys know, by the way, that in the month, it's too bad Hiram's not here. He had a question about this. In the month of, what are we in, November? The customers get the free griddle. You get the free griddle with the cookware set and no reduction to your CPO. So let's say, yeah. And by the way, I'm going to also say this as a really quick side note on cookware. Never let anybody buy the aspiring chef cookware set. It's the worst deal on cookware. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces for $1,400, $1,500. That comes out to be $500 an average, right? What about this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 for $2,200. What's the average price per piece? $300, right? 350. What about this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. $300. Does everybody see the bigger the sets of cookware get, the more the average piece is? So you want the best deal on cook. Yeah, you get the idea. Math might have been off a little bit, but The more cookware they buy, the more like the cheaper it gets per piece, and they have everything outfitted. But we'll say that they want the cookware set. All right. We have a big enough list here. Yeah, we do. We got an a partial ultimate upgrade, a couple gifts, cookware set, and I don't know what else are we missing down here. Tools. We got to talk about business gifts. I got to train you guys on that because business gifts are next level. But let's say actually she wants to give some gifts. We click on gifts. Got all sorts of different options of gifts. Maybe she wants to give some gifts to some friends. In fact, I think there's actually a place for this. Let's see, gift boxes. Those are all just empty boxes. We don't want those. Gift sets, that's what we're looking for. Hey, Mrs. Jones, can you see yourself giving any gifts for Christmas? You know, do you have anybody that you know that would love CUTCO? Oh, you know what? My sister, I go to her house. We cook all the time. She has horrible knives. Great. Hey, and maybe she picks out a Culinary Companions and a Kitchen Classics. All right. Now we have a proper list. Okay. What do we have here? We go back. You look on the right-hand side. We've got a $6,000 order racked up here. How do you know what to give for free? Well, there's a handy dandy button down here called Order Advisor. So what you do is you make sure your bonus points are set correctly. We're going to go regular order here. Bonus points, we're going to set them at 25. If you ever need a little bit more, like 26, talk to your manager real quick, but 2025 is acceptable. It's a great deal. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to go to Order Advisor and we're going to go from cart, and this tells us the best things to bonus for our CPO. Because in case you didn't know, Cooper, we manufacture products, and as a company, there's certain products it costs us more to manufacture for a couple reasons. One, man hours, time, quantity. You guys have heard of like manufacturing things at scale, like there's the economy of scale. The more you manufacture something, the less expensive it becomes to manufacture that piece. So what is the easiest thing so what I'm getting at here is when you bonus things, there are certain things you could bonus that if you wanted to take $100 off an order, if you bonused item A, it would take 80 CPO off your order. And if you bonused item B, it would take 50 CPO off your order. You're still giving them $100 worth of free stuff, but one of them takes less of a hit on your CPO. Order Advisor already knows this. Back in the day, we used to have spreadsheets. We had to memorize this stuff. Order Advisor already knows this. What is the number one thing that we manufacture the most of in CUTCO? Table knives, because they come in every freaking set and every upgrade and everything. We manufacture, I don't know, I'd guess it's got to be somewhere north of 1 million or 2 million table knives in the year. That's, so like giving table knives for free, it's a $50 item and the CPO reduction's like 20 or something. So we're going to bonus the table knives on their upgrade. Cheese knives, apparently we make a lot of cheese knives. Fisherman Solution, okay, great piece to bonus. Paring knives, same thing. Santoku. All right, we're still in the green here, so let's keep bonusing. Yeah, let's see, vegetable knife. Now we're getting close. Oh my goodness, what do we got? What else do we got here? Let's go Culinary Companions. All right, what are we looking at bonus point wise? We're at 22. Good grief. All right. So I need you to write down 3 lines for me in your notes. Retail, discount, your sweet deal. Retail, discount, your sweet deal. All right. So here's what I would say to my customer. And by the way, since we're talking about selling to CUTCO owners, I'm going to give you what I call the emotional roller coaster close. Ready? Anytime that before, so I'd get all this, and by the way, I used to do this in my notebook. I'd write everything down, do all the math, then I'd put my hands on my notebook and I'd look at my customer and I'd smile and I'd say, Mrs. Jones, before I show you this, I just got to say, anytime anybody ever buys CUTCO, whether it's their first time or their 100th time, they go through what I like to call the emotional roller coaster. What do I want versus what do I need versus what can I afford? And I got to tell you, Mrs. Jones, Anytime that anybody buys CUTCO, they always end up in the same place, and that's happy customer land. Let me ask you, if you could go back and buy CUTCO all of those years ago, knowing what you know now, so let's say they've owned their homemaker for 25 years. If you could go back 25 years ago and buy that homemaker, said, knowing how much value it's brought you, would you do it? And they're like, yes. Emphatically, they're like, yes, every time. What did I just do right there? Psychologically, I just made them feel heard. They didn't even tell me yet, but I made them feel heard. Hey, I understand this is an emotional roller coaster. You're weighing what do you want versus what do you need versus what can you afford. But I also helped them reinstate the value of CUTCO. They're like verbally, yes, it was worth it. It made sense. I'd buy it like 25 years ago. And what's great is when they tell you, they're like, I wish I would have bought more 25 years ago. I know, Mrs. Jones. CUTCO only ever goes up in price. The best time to buy CUTCO is 25 years ago. The next best time is today, because I'm going to give you a great deal. So, Mrs. Jones, let me show you. Retail wise of your list. Now, by the way, it shows you the value of the list is $7,067. That's because it's including the discounted, like sets are already discounted. Here's what I would say though. I would say the retail value is what we had it as before, 5,000 whatever. So for 44.23, and we look at the bonus items, 15.34. Yeah, we were 59.57. So Mrs. Jones, retail 59.57. Your list for your upgrade, your gifts, and your cookware and your garden tools comes out to be 59.57. What I can do today I used to always write down Karen's sweet deal. Okay. And I would write that out of my notebook. What I can do today is I could drop off. So I'd go discount. What I can do is I can drop off 15.34 off the order if you go ahead and get it today. So that means your sweet deal, Mrs. Jones, would come out to be 44.23. And that only comes out to be $887 per month for 5 months. All right, so let me do a little better artistic drawing. This is horribly written down, but this is the way I used to write it. A lot neater. All right, retail, discount, Karen's sweet deal. So it's only $887 per month, and you never, ever have to buy kitchen knives ever again. She's got everything else she'd ever want in her kitchen. How does that sound? Now, Richard, I wish it was as easy as your customer saying yes every time. Here's what I will say. Every once in a while, you're going to have a one yes customer on a big freaking list, and you walk out of there with and actually, this is only a 2000 CPO order, like CPO wise, it's not that crazy. Because cookware, I think you guys don't, you might, if you don't know, the CPO on cookware per the price is not exactly like it same as it is on knives. That's why we never give cookware for free. We don't manufacture our own cookware in-house. It's manufactured in the United States and Wisconsin. It still has our guarantee, but because we don't manufacture the cookware, there's an extra cost to the cookware. So that means the CPO is lower. Does everybody follow that? So sometimes it feels like, oh, I just sold a $3,000 set of cookware and the CPO is only like $1,500. And you're like, oh, that's kind of a bummer, but it's okay. Still $2,000 worth. All right. Then you say, so how does that sound? And she's going to say, hey, that's great, Cooper, but we weren't expecting to spend $4,400 today, $800, whatever on the 5-pay. No problem, Mrs. Jones. What few pieces are not a priority for you? That question right there is very important to write that down. What 1 or 2 or 3 pieces are not a priority for you? Now, if you say, hey, what pieces do you want? She's going to be like, well, I'll just buy like the cheese knife and like the Santoku and we'll call it good. And you just drop from like $4,000 wish list down to 2 pieces. And that's not what we want. We want to step this process down. So you need to shave off the list strategically. What few pieces are not a priority? And I would, and here's what I do. Since I'm the one that did the demo for, since I'm the one that knew what her temperature was on everything I put in the cart, like, Mrs. Jones, it seems like the cookware like wasn't a priority for you. And she's like, yeah, I wasn't a priority. Ms. Jones, let me just go ahead and pull that really quick. And bam, we delete the cookware. I'm going to unbonus everything really quick. and I'm going to start fresh. So I'd say, all right, Mrs. Jones, let me just show you what it would look like without the cookware. All right, so now what do we got here? Our new retail is $28.52. Retail $28.52. All right, then we go back to order advisor from the cart. Let's bonus some stuff here. Bonus, 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 bonus. What are we at here? 14. Let's keep rolling. Bonus. What are we at here now? 20. Let's stop there. All right. So then I say, all right, Mrs. Jones, what's our new value? How much did we get for free? We bonus 667, 676. So your sweet deal is 2176, and that comes out to be 437 on a 5-pay. I always circle that. You guys see that right there? If I'm in an in-person appointment, that's what I'm doing. I wanted to focus on 437. Then I say, all right, Mrs. Jones, so here's what we got. Without the cookware, just your partial ultimate upgrade and a couple gifts for Christmas and holidays and your garden tools. What we got here is we got $28.52. What I can do is I can give you $676 worth of that for free. That drops your price down to $21.76. And on the 5-pay, Mrs. Jones, which there's no background, no interest, no layaway, no financing, no none of that nonsense. It comes out to be $437. So by the time that, and here's what I love to say too, I'd count out 5 months. So like, what's 5 months from now? March. So by the time by the time St. Patty's Day comes around, you'll have it taken care of. You never have to buy knives ever again. How does that sound? By the way, how much freaking smaller does 28.52 look compared to what they were looking at before? $5,000 order. $2,800 all of a sudden seems kind of palatable. You know what I mean? Like before, like we had this conversation, a couple of you were like, man, $2,800 order like would blow your mind. And now you're like, oh, that $2,800 actually looks, pretty reasonable compared to the fact that we were looking at cookware and an ultimate upgrade. Same thing in the customer's mind. But if you just slapped a $2,800 like list out first, you'd be like, ooh, $2,800, that's a lot. We just dropped down from like $4,000 or $5,000, almost $6,000. Now we're at $2,800. She's like, ooh, that's reasonable. But I can't do it today. So what do you ask? What few pieces are not a priority? 1 or 2 or 3 pieces. Delete those pieces, unbonus, rebonus, retail, discount, your sweet deal. And what are the next things that aren't a priority for her that I know? Probably the gift box stuff and probably the garden tools. And I'm going to stop right there because her ultimate upgrade is going to be more important to her than her giving gifts to her friends, likely. And like her husband and her son that are going to get the K-bar and the fisherman solution in this example are a little bit more important. So I'm going to pause right there. I'm not going to let her cut too much. So I want to cut it in steps. Does that make sense? That's all you need to know about dropping down with the list. Here's what the total is. Here's what we can do for free. Your sweet deal is this. Here's what it is on the 5-pay. How does that sound? Great. No problem. Well, 1 or 2 pieces would you use the least, or 1 or 2 or 3? Take those pieces off, recalibrate, recalculate, repit, reoffer, and then drop down again. And when you're building the list, it's okay to build a like list with sacrificial pieces on there, because I've sold enough of these to know that we're going to land around $1,200 to $1,300 in this example for just that quick upgrade. CPO is probably going to be $800 or $900, and you walk away with an $800 or $900 CPO order. How many of you would be stoked to have like a bunch of 800 or 900 CPO orders? That's how you do it.